Meta. In gaming terms, it's an acronym. It stands for Most Effective Tactic Available. In Yu-Gi-Oh!, the meta refers to the best decks currently being played, the most broken cards that offer the quickest and easiest route to victory. Personally, I like to do things the hard way. I'm Hardleg Joe, and if you know anything about me or my channel, you know that I like to play anti-meta. Decks designed to surprise or outright counter the most effective tactics. That's why today I'm counting down my picks for the top 10 best anti-meta cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, the meta changes all the time. Something that might be really good against Monarchs or Performapals might not necessarily be useful in the future. So for this list, I've chosen cards that I think will stand the test of time. Even if they aren't the most useful right now, they have been before, and it's likely they will be again. Starting off at number 10 is Thunder King Ryo. Searching and special summons have always been key to the meta, and Thunder King Ryo helps shut down both of them. Not only is he a floodgate with the ability to negate summons, but with 1900 attack, he's not easily attacked over. While he was at 3, you could practically make a deck designed just around protecting him. But since he's been limited, he's seen a lot less play, which is why he's so low on the list. He's not a staple of the anti-meta, but if you have one spot open in your deck that needs to be filled, you can't go wrong with Thunder King. Coming in at number 9, Necro Valley. When the meta revolves around the graveyard, you can expect people to dig up this card. Designed to help the Gravekeeper archetype, Necro Valley is seen play in decks that have nothing to do with them. Its ability to shut down graveyard access and prevent banishing made it an excellent counter to many Synchro-era and Ixie-era decks. If it weren't for pendulums making the graveyard far less important for the coming years, this card would rest much higher on this list. Next up at number 8, Battle Fader. This is a bit of a personal pick on my part, but I friggin' love Battle Fader. His ability to end the battle phase from the hand while setting up a presence on the field has made him perfect for a myriad of weird anti-meta decks. From old Exodia stall decks to new favorites like Yosinju's, Battle Fader is the perfect card to stop your opponent in their tracks and set up for a devastating counterplay. At number 7, we have Creature Swap. By far the oldest card on this list, Creature Swap has gone back and forth over the years, from nearly useless to absolutely devastating as the meta has changed. Its ability to steal your opponent's monster without targeting it, while giving them a useless monster of your own, is the bane of any deck that relies on a boss monster. Unfortunately, the prevalence of unaffected monsters like Towers and Great Magnus is making this card less and less useful as time goes on. Only time will tell if it'll make a resurgence once again. Next up is the newest card on the list, the Monarch Storm 4th. This card took the anti-meta favorite Soul Exchange and got rid of all of its downsides. Not only does this card get rid of troublesome monsters without targeting or destroying them, but it combos excellently with other anti-meta favorites like Vanity's Fiend and Majesty's Fiend. Monarchs may be using this to help dominate the meta now, but this card is being used before their reign began, and I'm sure we'll be seeing play long after it's ended. Splitting the list down the middle is Jowgen the Spiritualist. Shutting down special summons has always been key to the anti-meta, and while there are many other cards that accomplish this, I feel like Jowgen is the best overall. He may not have much attack, but as a light spellcaster that can be normal summoned, his ability to combo with cards like Honest and Secret Village of the Spellcasters can more than make up for this weakness. Coming in at number 4 is Lava Golem, because there's nothing more satisfying than taking your opponent's carefully crafted super monster and tributing it for one that burns them to death. There is no answer for Lava Golem. Summoning it is a cost, so even invincible monsters like Towers and Great Magnus aren't immune to being tributed. Like Jowgen, there are many other monsters that could fill this role. Volcanic Queen, Santa Claus, all of the Kaiju monsters, but Lava Golem is the oldest and the meanest of the bunch, so I went with him. At number 3, we have the ultimate in graveyard hate, Macrocosmos, for when you absolutely need to banish everything. Setting this card first turn means effectively removing the graveyard from play, which shuts down a great number of decks. Not only that, but it works on pendulums as well, banishing them when they're destroyed instead of letting them return to the extra deck. This means Macrocosmos will continue to be a force to be reckoned with for years to come. Its limited status may weaken its place on the list a little bit, but combined with cards like Dimensional Fissure and Dark Law, it could still be a pretty brutal floodgate. Flipping up in second place, we have the Pendulum Slayer, Anti-Spell Fragrance. While this card hasn't been the kind of anti-meta staple that Macrocosmos has, it's always been useful. Key to lockdown decks and trap-heavy stun decks alike, nothing slows things down and makes your opponent vulnerable quite like Anti-Spell Fragrance. The faster decks get, the more this card hurts, and because cards can't be set in the pendulum zones, it completely shuts down pendulum decks, meaning this card will be relevant for quite some time, as long as it can stay off the forbidden list. And finally, Skill Drain. It's almost easier to list the decks that aren't devastated by this card. For years, nearly all competitive anti-meta decks revolved around using Skill Drain. It simply shuts down everything, and even limited to one, it's a threat that can be difficult to overcome. Cards like Lose One Turn and Majesty's Fiend may be powerful, but they're both just pale imitations of this admittedly overpowered trap. Even limited to one, it's still my pick for number 1 best anti-meta card. Of course, as with any list on the internet, this is all just opinion. Feel free to agree or disagree and discuss your own picks down in the comments. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching, good luck, and have fun.